Merry Meet Annie here. This is a video for my This Witch's Way series. What I wanted to do is, when I have the time, I'm going to try and do this going forward. I've had lots of questions about rites, personal rites, and what we do in those rites. Now, it's not about how we go about casting our circles particularly, or what deities we call on, because that's something we each have something different that we do, and I'm not about teaching a particular way unless someone has reached out to me for that. This is answering in part a question I get. Here I sit. I've done whatever it is I choose to do to declare a space sacred. I've gathered around me whomever I want to gather around me, the energies I want to gather around me, and here I am. Books haven't helped me figure out, well, what now? And I did a short video, maybe not so short, it's me, nothing's too short when I do it, about the moons as I see them. And I will be celebrating tonight the moon of peace. And I thought, as I was getting my notes together, making sure I was ready for that, to come back later on tonight to do that ritual for myself, that I would share, let's call it the meat of the ritual that I will do tonight. I'm not going to do a ritual, I'm not comfortable with that kind of thing, but know that I of course have my ways of calling the ancestors, the ancient presence, my deities, the god and goddess of the Wicca, the elementals, the guardians, my spirit guide. I have a room full of compatriots when I do ritual, and I do ritual in a very traditional way. However, what I do when it comes to the working of the evening, I'm thinking that when I'm comfortable sharing that, I'm going to do so. And the reason is, it might help some of you who wonder, when we get to the place that we've done all the calling and we've done all the gathering and there we sit, what next? What do we do? Why are we even doing what we're doing? Now, of course I say, everyone has their own reasons for doing what they do, including the way in which they do it. You know, as part of this ritual, I will have invoked God and Goddess, and I will have drawn down the moon, and I will, as Goddess, have spoken the charge. And I will have done, as part of this ritual, cakes for the evening, and I will have gone through all the dismissing and the winding down and the taking back of my circle. But in the midst of my circle is what I call the working. And I'm sharing with you what my working for this evening is going to be. It's a working of peace and of unity. And it is almost entirely what I've been doing for probably 20 years or so when I've done rituals on my own, as a solitary, even when it was in addition to rituals that I did when I was with groups. Now, I truly believe that this ritual can be done at any time, and the charge that God has said to us, whenever you have need of anything, and once in the month. And we need to be reminded that we can do ritual whenever we have a desire to. This ritual came about as a ritual of peace, when peace meditations and worldwide activities started becoming very, very popular in September. So a great part of this has existed in its entirety for me probably for about 20 years. As I have been recently redoing my book of the year, things have changed a little bit in this aspect of what I do. There's a couple of things that have been added, and they were added after 9/11. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do tonight, in the hopes that it will give you an idea of the purpose, at least, of one woman's September moon. Before I even begin my circle tonight, I will be devoting my circle to Selene, the moon goddess. Each of my moons has a specific goddess that I work with, and it will be Selene tonight. Before I start anything to do with my circles, I do a time of meditation where I gather and I center, and there is a reading or a chant, or there's something I do to just kind of bring me to why I am here. Right before this, I will have done the traditional pillar meditation to get me in the mindset of the energy that channels through me. And then I will settle down and I will recite this traditional hymn to Selene as my way of kind of a personal ingathering before I begin the work of my circle. And it goes. Sweet-voiced muses, daughters of the goddess, well-skilled in song, tell of the long-winged moon. From her immortal head a radiance is shown from heaven and embraces earth, and great is the beauty that arises from her shining light. The air unlit before glows with the light of her golden crown, and her rays beam clear whensoever bright Selene, having bathed her lovely body in the waters of ocean, and donned her far-gleaming shining team, drives on her long-maned horses at full speed at eventide in mid-month. Then her great orbit is full, and then her beams shine brightest as she increases, so she is a sure token and a sign to mortals. Hail, white-armed goddess, bright Selene, mild, bright-tressed queen. And that is a traditional hymn to the ancient Greek goddess Selene, who was seen almost purely white and glowing and pale, and she had these awesome stallions that she drove across the sky until the moon was at its most full. And I use that hymn as a way to prepare myself to think about Selene as I welcome her to the rituals. And then I'll go about the business. And mine is a long business of casting my circle, because I do everything very traditionally. It is my way and my great joy. And when it comes to the calling of the elements, I call on my guardians, and then I call on aspects of the elements that I wish to call on for that particular ritual. So tonight I will be calling on the elemental aspect of unity, and I'll do that after I've called my guardians by using a simple quotation, which is, I will face east. I will acknowledge the direction of east and all of the peoples of the east, and my mind will flow eastward from where I live, embracing all who live east of me. And then I will face each direction, and I will acknowledge the peoples of the south and the west and the north of me, and I will see myself standing at the center in the sense of this radiating force that goes off in all these directions. That will be my elemental call that I will use after I've called my guardians. So what will be the working tonight? The spell work of the evening? I will begin by refocusing and calling out on Selene within the construct of my ritual. Again, using a traditional hymn to Selene with a little bit of words that were added by myself over the years. I will say, Hail, white-armed goddess, far-winged Selene, mild, bright-tressed queen. From your immortal head, radiance shines forth in the heavens and embraces the earth. Great is the beauty that arises from your shining light. The night air glows with the light of your bright crown. Pandya Selene, goddess of the full moon, move through me tonight, so I may radiate the light you bring me. Then I will stand tall in my ritual room, and I will offer my arms to the heavens, and I will imagine the energy of the light of the moon moving down and into me. And then I will settle in front of my altar, and on my altar will be a plate full of earth. I couldn't take earth from my backyard for this, because it's mud after these weeks and weeks of rain. So I'm using potting soil, put flat in a narrow dish, a plate. And as part of my next working with my finger in that dirt, I'm going to trace the peace sign. Yes, that peace sign, the one we all know so well. And I'm going to take flour in my hand, and pinch by pinch, I'm going to fill in the peace sign that I've just drawn with my finger. And the entire time I am doing that, I'm going to be meditating on what peace means to me. Anytime a thought of what isn't peace, or the sadness, or the terror, or the conflict and the not peace of the world enters my mind, which it will, I'm going to imagine I'm burying it in the earth underneath that flower that I'm laying in my peace sign. And the entire time I'm doing that, I'll be thinking that. And when I'm done, I will put a small chime candle in the middle of that in a little holder, and I will light it. And here's a part that came into this after 9/11. This is not part of my ritual originally. It came into my ritual after 9/11 because the Sunday after that I was at church. I go to a Unitarian Universalist church. We sang this song. And many of you will know it. If you come from Christian backgrounds, you'll know the song from your churches perhaps. It is, O God of all, O God of all the nations. A little bit of allergies here. I may sneeze, so forgive me. O God of all the nations, I will sing this song because the singing of this song in our service after 9/11, just the amazing sense of hope that fell over our congregation in the singing of it. Just an amazing, amazing feeling. And if you'd like to know what the song sounds like, there are lots of versions of it on YouTube. I will be singing it tonight. I'm not going to sing it for you because I cannot sing it without crying. And I'm not going to do that to you. I can read it without crying. So no, this is the song I will then be singing. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating, with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover, leaf, and pine. But other lands have sunlight too and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. See, I did that without crying, but tonight I will cry. Because it's a powerful, powerful song. And that is why I call this moon the moon of peace and mercy. Because peace is something we have to wish for everyone equally, and it is something that is not about here and now. It is about everywhere and all time. And this song I had the advantage of never having heard it before, since I had not gone to church as a child. So unlike many of you who have heard the song, I had never heard it before. And it was a very moving and powerful song, which has now become part of my rite every September. What I do after I have sung that song is I take up Sophia, my crystal ball, and I truly see her as the world in my hand. She's very often my partner in ritual. And this is part of what I've always done for my peace ritual. I have taken her up and I have literally looked into her and I've seen the globe within her. I've seen the earth. It's almost like I am those pictures from outer space that we see, the beautiful ones of the beautiful blue earth. I see that within Sophia and I hold her and I chant the Om Shanti for as long as I feel like. Now, if you knew the Om Shanti, I believe it's probably the second, if I've read right, the second most chanted chant that's ever been chanted when we think about how many times something is chanted. The Om Shanti. Om is the sound of, it can be called so many things, spirit, life. It's the sound of existence. The word Om doesn't mean anything specifically as a word. It is the sound that the universe makes. Om. Shanti means peace. I always chanted at least 10 times because I was told when I was told to chant this that 10 times by itself or 10 times in sets is the way it's to be done. So I will chant Om Shanti 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 Om Shanti 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 Om Shanti 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 until I feel I've chanted enough, till I feel I'm at my personal place of peace. Then I'll lay Sophia, the world that I've held so gently in my hand, back onto her plush little cushion where she lives. And to bring to a close my working, one last thank you to Selene, her presence for me in the night. Pandya Selene, goddess of the full moon, move through the world tonight. Fill all people with your light so all may radiate the light you bring us. peace. And when it comes time, when I have gotten to the point in my ritual where I am thanking my guardians, right before then I'm going to thank the elemental energy that I have specifically called in. Remember when I looked at the directions and honored the peoples that are to all the directions from me, and how I will dismiss, in my words, thank that elemental energy at the end of my ritual, as I will say, all of the peoples of the world are air. May our innermost thoughts be of peace. May peace prevail. All of the peoples of the world are of fire. May we stand strong in the face of shadow. May peace prevail. All of the peoples of the world are of water. May we open our hearts to love and compassion. May peace prevail. All of the peoples of the world are of earth. May we cherish life in the time we have here. May peace prevail. Om Shanti. So if you want to know what this witch will be doing in her personal rite for peace this evening, I've shared that with you so you have some idea of the crux of my rite tonight. Blessings of the white-armed goddess who races her horses across the full moon night. And blessings of the god and goddess. And peace, may peace prevail, my friends. I wish you mirth and reverence. Merry part.